Is there more than one Juan Diego who saw the Blessed Mother? Yes, there is.
And is there another Tilma with another miraculous image of Our Lady on it? Also yes. And if that sounds confusing, don't worry, because today we're going to be explaining all about the other Tilma and the other Juan Diego.
I'm Jennifer and this is Kate. So welcome to Catholic Mom and Daughter. Today is December 12th, which is the beautiful feast of Our Lady of Guadalupe. So we love this feast day, how Our Lady appeared to Juan Diego in Mexico in 1531. But we were fascinated recently to learn that there is another Juan Diego who also saw the Blessed Mother.
And there's also another Tilma with Our Lady's image on it, which, just to make things more confusing, actually didn't belong to either of the Juan Diegos. And this Tilma is beautiful, and its story is equally as fascinating, but we'll get to it later.
Yeah, we're going to start with the men today, because how could it be that the Blessed Mother appeared to two men, both named Juan Diego, who both lived in Mexico? All right, so we already know that the first Juan Diego saw Our Lady of Guadalupe.
But there is a second Juan Diego Bernardine, who lived in Mexico in Tlaxcala, and he worked for the Franciscan friars there. The Blessed Mother appeared to him in the spring of 1541, so that was about 10 years after she appeared to the original Juan Diego.
So when the second Juan Diego saw the Blessed Mother, his hometown was in the throes of a terrible smallpox epidemic, and everybody was dying. So Juan Diego asked the friars if he could leave and go to the river Zawapan, because they thought that that river had healing water, some minerals in the water could help cure fevers, and the friars gave him permission to go, so he immediately set off with his water jug.
And on the way back from the river to his village, he was passing through a grove of pine trees when he saw a bright light, and a beautiful woman stepped out of that light. Of course, she was the Blessed Mother, and asked him what he was doing and where he was going.
So he explained his errand to her, and she said, "Oh, well, come with me, and I will give you water that will instantly cure the sick and make the healthy people even healthier." So she said that her heart was ever ready to help those in distress because she couldn't bear to see the suffering of the people. So they walked a little way, and then she stopped and she waved her hands above the ground, and a miraculous spring bubbled forth. Kind of reminds me of Lourdes.
So Juan Diego filled up his jug with the new water, but before he went on his way, the Blessed Mother gave him a very special job to do. She said to go back to the friars and tell them about everything that had happened, and then go out into the woods and look for her image, which would appear on a piece of pine wood. And then that wood was to be taken to the church of San Lorenzo in Octolan.
So Juan Diego took off with the new water right to his village, and sure enough, everyone who drank even a single drop immediately began to recover their health. So then he raced off to the friars and told them everything that had happened, and fortunately, they believed him right away, unlike Juan Diego number 1, who had to tangle with the local bishop. So that evening, the friars and Juan Diego number 2 all went back to the forest, where they saw that something amazing was happening.
The entire forest was on fire, but nothing was burning. And there was one large pine in particular that was emanating this bright, special light. But the friars decided to wait until the following morning to investigate, because the entire forest was on fire, maybe it would have calmed down by the morning.
Okay, so when they went back in the morning, they saw that all the trees were completely intact. Only their lower branches were singed, which was really crazy because the ocote pine tree is known to be very resinous and dry, and usually if it gets on fire, poof, it's gone. Only the big pine tree that had been glowing with the special light, only that one was completely scorched. So the friars thought, that one looks suspicious. They chopped it down, and inside was a beautiful, very large 5-foot statue of the Blessed Mother.
So they took the statue to the Church of San Lorenzo, which is now the Basilica of Our Lady of Octolan in Tlaxcala, and the statue is still there to this day. It shows the Blessed Mother as the Immaculate Conception. She has her hands folded out in front of her. She's dressed in very beautiful robes and a crown that she received in 1909 from Pope Pius X.
So the statue is very interesting because not only is it very beautiful, but the locals say that the face of the statue also changes colors occasionally, ranging anywhere from red to very pale, just depending on what's going on in the world. And of course, there have been many miracles and healings and cures that have been attributed to the intercession of Our Lady at the Basilica.
And can you still go to the shrine and get water from the spring? Yes, you can, which is really cool and also very similar to Lourdes, which also has a miraculous spring.
So what can we take away from all this? Well, the first thing is that if you want to see the Blessed Mother, you should change your name to Juan Diego and go live in Mexico, and that would increase your chances. Just saying.
Maybe not.
Maybe not.
Maybe not.
You never know. Worth a shot.
But the real message here is that the Blessed Mother loves us and takes care of us because we're her children. She'll go to Mexico or to Lourdes, to wherever we need her, because she is always there to help us.
Now let's take a look at the other Tilma, which again did not belong to either one of the Juan Diegos. This image of Our Lady is called Our Lady of the Angels, and it was painted in tempera paints on a rough cactus fiber tilma, and it was hung up in a very small chapel in the town of Tecaxic in Mexico.
And Tecaxic was a small but thriving town until 1640, when the plague killed nearly every single person who lived there. Only 2 people survived, and they fled the town, leaving the tilma behind.
And that was too bad because with everyone gone from the town, no one was taking care of the chapel, which became a terrible ruin. The walls cracked, big holes developed, the roof caved in, and then everything inside the chapel was exposed to the elements.
It got so bad that during a storm, when a traveling priest named Father Antonio Ledesma ducked inside the chapel for shelter, he realized that it was no better inside than it was outside. But while he was there, he noticed the image of Our Lady still hanging on the wall.
So the priest was astonished to see that the water was just rolling off the image of Our Lady and not hurting it in any way, which is crazy because it was painted with tempera paint, which should have just washed away. So I can just see him standing there like, what is happening? Because this place is a wreck and this image has been exposed to snow and heat and wind and water for years, and yet this painting still looks perfect.
So, of course, the image was rescued and moved to a new shrine where many miracles have been attributed to Our Lady of the Angels. For example, a woman with a cancerous arm was completely healed there the day before her arm was scheduled to be amputated, and a blind woman regained her sight at the shrine.
So those are just 2 of hundreds and thousands of miracles that have occurred at this shrine. But that's not all, because after the shrine was built in 1650, people who were passing by it at night would say that they saw bright lights coming out of the chapel and that they also heard really beautiful, beautiful music being played. But when they would go inside the chapel, to see who's making this beautiful music, all the lights would be out and there was no one inside. So who was creating this beautiful music? Was it the angels playing for Our Lady? We don't know.
And if you take a closer look at the image, you'll also notice that there are some similarities between it and the image of Our Lady of Guadalupe. For example, both of them are on tilmas, which usually only last a couple of years, but in both cases, the tilmas are going strong after hundreds of years. And in both images, Our Lady is standing with her hands folded. She's wearing a mantle with golden rays coming out from behind her.
But the 2 tilmas also have differences. The mantle of Our Lady of the Angels is being carried by 2 angels as they lift her up into heaven. So this painting is also called Our Lady of the Assumption. And at the bottom of the painting, there are 2 very sad apostles who are looking down to where Mary used to be lying, but now she's being lifted up into heaven. So there are also 2 women looking up and watching her go.
And in Our Lady of the Angels, the Blessed Mother has her head tilted to the side so we can clearly see her left ear, which reminds us that she is there and listening to our prayers so she can help us and bring those prayers to Jesus.
So there you have it, a look at the other Tilma and the other Juan Diego, and we just think that is so cool that the Catholic Church has so many fascinating and amazing stories like this.
So let us know down in the comments if you've ever been to Mexico and maybe seen either one of the Tilmas in person. We haven't, but it is on our bucket list.
Maybe someday. In the meantime, happy Feast of Our Lady of Guadalupe. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.